Welcome to my cozy little corner. Today I want to talk about all of the books I want to read this summer. I have not been this excited about a summer TBR or about a TBR in general in a really long time. Maybe last fall or the summer before that. I know exactly the vibes that I I want. I know exactly what I want to read, and it feels so good to have direction. Before we get into this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave me a comment of what you want to read this summer. It's way too late for me to be drinking this, but first and foremost, the vibes. I knew I want historical fiction that is set in summer. I know I want books that feel kind of sticky and muggy, and I don't know. I think those words make sense. Specifically, every year around this time, I default to summer romances because I want books that feel like summer. For some reason, my brain thought the only thing that feels like summer are summer contemporary romances, which is not true. So I went down a rabbit hole and I was trying to find like historical fiction books that were set in the summer, but also books that kind of have like a fever dream aspect or like a very like hot and muggy sticky feeling to summer. And I found some good books. I ordered a couple through eBay that should be here soon. Very excited about that. But I also just have a couple through my library as well. Let's get into the actual list because I'm just procrastinating at this point. First two books I feel like are very similar, but the first book is a book called Swimming in the Dark. I am going to the beach the next 3 days, and this is going to be my beach read. I don't know why, but I just feel like it's going to be the perfect read for that. It's not super long. Actually, I have the physical copy. Hold on. It's shiny because it's the library copy, but it's really short. And even though it's technically a lit fic, I feel like I'll be able to finish this in 3 days. But I think I'm going to start it tonight to give myself a little bit of a head start. This is a book that is about two Polish boys in the 1980s, and they fall in love, but then somehow they end up on two opposing sides of the conflict going on in Poland. I feel like this book checks all of the boxes that I'm wanting. I love a historical fiction with romance. Broken record. Specifically love like a lit fic book that is historical fiction. I also love a lit fic book that has a romance component as well. I feel like it's always written well, and I love romance in my books. I'm starting to really have an aversion to contemporary romance, though, unfortunately. And I think it's because I don't want to know they're going to end up together. I don't want a romance book where I know they're going to end up together. I want a real life story that has a romance that you don't know where it's going to go. But I think that this is going to have the historical component, the romance component, the beautiful lyrical writing component. I don't know. I'm very excited to read this, but yes, Swimming in the Dark. The next book I feel like is kind of similar, a different spectrum, I guess, or I guess the same spectrum, but it's a book called Sunburn. I don't know too much about this book, if I'm being honest. I can't give you an as in depth synopsis, but I know it's Irish. I know it's set during the summer. Click that box. I know that it is a queer sapphic love story, and I know it's like coming of age, so the queer love story component of it is it's a coming of age queer story. And like I said, summer and then Ireland. I don't know like how deep the historical element of this goes in, but it checks the boxes of set in the summer, coming of age, and I always enjoy a good coming of age queer story. It's giving very much Irish female Call Me by Your Name. Very excited to read that. Next is a Barbara Kingsolver book. I'm so excited about this book. So, obviously, broken record. I'm sorry, take a shot every time I say. My favorite book is Demon Copperhead by the same author. And so I was like, okay, I need to read another one of her books because I've actually heard that her other books are really good too. So, she's got a book called The Prodigal Summer, which is about three stories that weave together human love within a large tapestry of lives inhabiting the forest mountains and struggling small farm of the Appalachia. Set in the Appalachians, and there is a huge component of nature in this book. That is one of the biggest things that drew me to this book. I really love nature themes in my books, and I Googled, as you do as a reader, I Googled best books with nature components, and this book popped up. It helps that it's set in the summer. I already know I like Barbara Kingsolver's writing. I love the setting, clearly, because my favorite book of all time is set in the same area. Um, yeah, and I just ordered this off of eBay as well as the next book I'm about to go over. So I should be getting to this one very soon because I got the audiobook for it today through my library. I was so excited because I thought I was like sixth in line, but turns out I think a whole bunch of people skipped it. I'm very excited about that. But yeah, that's Prodigal Summer by Barbara Kingsolver. Next is a Maggie O'Farrell book. So I read Hamnet, super obsessed with Hamnet because how can you read Hamnet and not be super obsessed with Hamnet? But she also has a ton of books and she gets praised for Hamnet quite often, but apparently her other books are also very good. And she also has a historical book set in a summer. It's called Instruction on Instruction on a Heat Wave. It is a family crisis set during the legendary British heat wave of 1976. That is exactly what I was looking for. I wanted something that would give me hot, sticky summer, and it's historical fiction, and it's Maggie O'Farrell historical fiction. I love the way Maggie O'Farrell writes historical fiction. She has a very like lyrical approach to it, which I know, she's not like the only one to do that, but I feel like as much as I love a good contemporary historical fiction, I do. I do. I also love when it's got more of a literary lean on it. And I don't know, this book was speaking to me. I also own The Marriage Portrait, but I just feel like with this obviously being set during a heat wave, I just think it's going to be absolutely perfect to read by the pool during the summer. So, Instructions on a Heat Wave. The next book I do actually own the physical copy of. I also bought that book off eBay, but it's way up there and I don't feel like getting up. But that is A Dark Summer Sky. So, like I said, I go through a lot of rabbit holes. I go down a lot of rabbit holes of being like, "Oh, I like this theme. I wonder if there's other books like that." I do that a lot with nature themes, but I also did that for like a couple of hours for like summer historical fiction, and this book came up quite a bit. It is about a hurricane, that an actual real hurricane that happened in 1935 in the Florida Keys. And in the book, this hurricane is about to hit. So it's got those extremely atmospheric vibes I was talking about, and it's very like stormy, disgusting hurricane vibes. Right before the hurricane happens, a white woman is brutally murdered and a black man is falsely accused of the murder. And that's all I know about it. I know the hurricane and I know that. I don't know. It sounds like it's going to be a heavy read. I'll probably have to wait until I'm in a little bit better of a mindset, but like, I don't mind it being heavy. I think it's going to have great atmosphere. It seems like it's going to have racial commentary, which I always find very interesting in books. So yeah. I don't know anything like about this book in the sense that like I've never heard anybody talk about it, but yeah, like I don't know how anyone has felt about this book, so I do hope I like it. And so it is a more like going in blind type of read. So hopefully I like it and I found a hidden gem. Okay, and then the next book, we're going to dip a little bit out of summer historical fiction for a second. I really want to finish the Song of Chaos series this summer. I have currently read 2 books. I've read the first and the second book. I think there's 4 currently, and if I'm not mistaken, he has 5 coming out soon. It might even be this year. Yeah, I love the series. I am doing this thing where I am trying to, and it's working. I'm doing this thing where I am reading one fantasy series at a time. And every month I am reading one book out of that series. It is helping me keep track of the fantasy series I'm reading. It's also keeping me accountable for the fantasy series so that I can actually finish these dang series. I'm really excited because once I finish Song of Chaos, I am finally gonna get to Robin Hobb, but I digress. The Song of Chaos series is a classic feeling fantasy, boy with his dragon, all the best fantasy tropes done in such a modern way that it still feels fresh. It is quite literally Aragon for adults. I love this series. I talk about it all the time. I'm loving it. The dragons are phenomenal. I love the dragon personalities in this. Like, if you like dragons, take a shot every time I say dragons. But if you like dragons, like this, you need to like don't walk, run. They're on Kindle Unlimited. They're so good. they're they're entertaining, and as much as they aren't palate cleanser type books, like there are stakes and they will break your heart. I do like them in between my heavier historical fiction books. Like I think even though they're heavy, they're fun and they have a very nostalgic fantasy feeling to them. So that makes them great for palette cleansers or like in between my historical fiction books. Um yeah, I'm very excited to get to book 3. I heard book 3 and 4 are both really devastating, so wish me luck. Wish me luck. Hopping back into summer historical fictions, the very last book that is on this TBR, because God knows I could have made this TBR way longer, but I'm trying to be responsible and not give me 20 books that I want to read and then I only read 10 and then I feel bad. So we're keeping it reasonable. The very last book on this TBR is a famous one. It's a famous one, and that is Lonesome Dove. Do I need to give you the synopsis? I feel like everyone knows this book, but to be honest, I don't know too much about it. I do know it's apparently amazing. It's a western, and I know it's about cattle drivers, and everyone says like that's all you need to know, and that's fine with me. I think this is gonna give me my lit fic cowboy summer. Like, I think it's gonna be a good book when I want to like really immerse and dive into a story. I think it's gonna have the cowboys and it's gonna have people talk about these characters and how much they love these characters. And what's so insane about Lonesome Dove to me is I watch people who read only literary fiction and they're like, Lonesome Dove is the shit. I watch people who only read fantasy and they're like, Lonesome Dove is the shit. I don't know what is in this book, but everyone who reads it loves it and loves the characters and talks about how it just like stole their heart and then broke it. So sounds a little bit of me. So I was like, okay, I think I'm finally mentally prepared to jump into this book. So at some point, I am going to full on immersion read it, and I'm so excited. I hope it lives up to the hype. I feel like it will. But yeah, Lonesome Dove. So we've made it to the end of my TBR. Could have been longer, but I'm not going to do that to myself. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys have any recommendations of summer historical fiction books, please let me know. I will add them to my TBR. And I'm not just asking you to ask you to comment, I'm actually asking you because the internet is not, it's only getting me so far with book recommendations, if I'm being honest. So, yes, thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.